There's something powerful about the right words, whispered in the right moment, to the right woman. But here's what no one tells you: it's not just what you say, it's how you see her when you say it. You see, most men are busy complimenting a woman's looks, her curves, her lips, her hair. And while she might smile, she's heard it before, 1,000 times, from men who didn't even care to look past the surface. But you're not like them. You want to make a woman feel something she hasn't felt in a long time: seen, understood, safe. You want her to feel her soul being touched, not just her skin. That kind of compliment, that doesn't fade. That stays long after the moment is gone, long after you're gone. And that's when a woman starts to fall, not because of lust, but because of emotional presence. So if you're tired of feeling like you're invisible, like the women you want never seem to want you back, this message is for you. Because once you learn how to compliment a woman in a way that ignites her emotions, not just her ego, everything will change. The truth is, men have been lied to. You've been told that confidence alone wins women, that money or looks or height will somehow make you irresistible. But let me ask you, if that were true, why are so many wealthy, good-looking, tall men still being left on read? Here's the truth: most men never realize attraction isn't logical, it's emotional. And the fastest way into a woman's heart isn't through gifts or games, it's through her emotions. Her sense of being seen in a world that constantly asks her to perform, to look perfect, to hide her fears and pretend she's okay. Women fall for men who make them feel safe being themselves, not judged, not analyzed, not measured. So when you give a compliment, a real one, not a rehearsed pickup line or flirty joke, and it comes from a place of presence, she feels it in her chest. Her guard drops, her mask loosens. And for the first time in a long time, she lets herself imagine what it would feel like to be loved fully and freely. These 8 compliments aren't magic tricks. They are windows into emotional connection. And when spoken with sincerity, they can awaken something inside a woman that even she didn't know was sleeping. Not every woman will be ready to receive this, but the right one, she will never forget how you made her feel. So listen closely, because what I'm about to share can change how women respond to you forever. There's something incredibly underrated about peace, especially in a world where everyone is rushing, competing, trying to impress, trying to outshine, trying to be louder just to be noticed. Peace becomes rare. So rare that people start confusing chaos for love or adrenaline for connection. But let me tell you this: if a woman makes you feel peaceful, if her presence alone can silence the noise in your chest, if she makes the world feel just a little bit safer when she walks into the room, don't just feel it, say it. You make everything feel peaceful. You wouldn't believe how powerful those words are to a woman who's constantly fighting silent battles. She might be smiling, laughing, showing up strong in the world, but inside, she's probably exhausted, emotionally stretched thin, trying to be enough for everyone else. So when a man comes along and tells her that her energy brings peace, she's caught off guard, in the most beautiful way. Because guess what? Most of the compliments she hears are all surface level. You're hot, you're gorgeous, I love your body. And those compliments, they're recycled. They feel transactional. She's heard them so often, they lose their magic. But when a man pauses, really looks at her and says, "When I'm around you, I feel calm. I feel like I can breathe." That moment, that compliment, doesn't just flatter her, it moves her. Because it means you're paying attention. It means you're not just seeing how she looks in that dress. You're feeling how her presence affects your soul. That's intimacy. That's emotional connection. And for a woman who's used to being praised only when she's performing, when she's dressed up, made up, showing up, to be told that she brings peace just by being who she is, that creates safety. You become different. You become memorable. Because you're no longer just a man who notices what she shows. You're a man who feels what she radiates. You're not complimenting the packaging, you're honoring the aura. And that shifts something inside her. It invites her to soften, to trust, to open. See, a lot of men don't understand this. They think attraction is about excitement, about sparking fire. But fire burns out. Peace lasts. Peace builds a foundation. Peace creates space for love to breathe. And when a woman knows that her presence makes you feel at peace, she starts to realize she can finally put her walls down. Because you're not coming at her with pressure. You're not demanding her attention, her body, her energy. You're simply present. You're simply feeling her. And she'll remember that. Even if nothing happens between you two, even if it's just one conversation, she'll carry that compliment with her. She'll replay it on days when she feels invisible. She'll think about the man who looked at her and saw serenity, not sex, not strategy, but serenity. That's what makes her fall. That's what creates emotional magnetism. And that's the kind of man a woman wants to be around. Not because he's flashy, Not because he's playing games, but because he reminds her of who she really is underneath all the roles she plays. So don't underestimate this compliment. Don't save it for some perfect moment. If a woman makes you feel peaceful, tell her. Let her know that her presence makes life feel softer, that her energy is a safe place. Because in a world that's constantly demanding her to be more, louder, better, being told she's enough, that she's peaceful, might be the one thing she didn't even know she was starving for. That's how you stand out. That's how you connect. That's how you leave a mark, not just on her memory, but on her heart. Most men never say this to a woman, not because they don't think it, but because they're too distracted by everything on the outside: her lips, her waist, her smile. And look, there's nothing wrong with noticing a woman's beauty. But if that's all you ever compliment, you'll never reach her soul. Because a beautiful face might turn heads, but it's her mind that makes her unforgettable. Let me tell you something real. There are so many women walking this earth starving for someone to see their intelligence. Not just in a professional way, not just, oh, she's smart, like a LinkedIn profile, but in a deeply human, emotional way. A woman wants her mind to be noticed like her body. She wants you to be curious about the way she thinks, the way she processes life, the way she connects feelings to ideas and stories to emotions. When you say, the way your mind works is so beautiful, you're not just complimenting her. You're honoring her emotional intelligence. You're saying, I see your depth. I respect how you think. I admire the way you put meaning into words. And that, for a woman who's tired of being reduced to just a pretty face, is a healing experience. It shows her that she's more than her beauty, that you're listening to her ideas, not just waiting for your turn to speak, that her thoughts matter, that her insight lights something up in you, that you're attracted to her mind, not just her makeup. And here's the beautiful irony: when a woman feels seen for her mind, she begins to feel even more beautiful on the outside, because her self worth deepens. You've touched something that most men never touch: her inner world. And now she sees you differently too, because you're not like the rest. You're not just observing her, you're experiencing her. You notice how her eyes light up when she explains something she's passionate about. You hear how she frames her stories, not just the plot, but the meaning behind it. You love the metaphors she uses, the way she makes sense of life. And when you tell her, I love how your mind works, you're validating her essence, the unseen part of her that holds all her wisdom, creativity, and emotional flavor. Women fall for that, not for the line itself, but for the courage it takes to speak it. Because that line comes from presence. It comes from slowing down long enough to listen. And in today's distracted world, that kind of presence is rare. That kind of man is rare. You want to know what keeps a woman thinking about you long after the date is over. It's not just how you dressed. It's not even the dinner you paid for. It's whether you saw her. It's whether you heard something in her voice and said, wow, your thoughts are incredible. That's what she'll remember at 2 a.m. That's what she'll write about in her journal. And you want to know the best part? When you speak to a woman's mind, you give her permission to go deeper, to show more of herself. She'll open up. She'll trust you. She'll tell you things she doesn't share with anyone else. Because now, it's not about being pretty for you, it's about being true with you. That's emotional intimacy. So yes, tell her she looks beautiful, absolutely. But also tell her her thoughts are beautiful, that her mind excites you, that her ideas stay with you, that her words echo in your chest. Because in a world full of shallow praise, you become unforgettable when you go deep. When you speak to the woman who lives behind the eyes, that's when she doesn't just like you. That's when she feels you. And that's when attraction becomes connection. This is the compliment that reaches deep into a woman's bones. Because strength, real strength, is often invisible. It's the kind of strength no one claps for. The kind that's built behind closed doors, when no one is watching, when no one's listening, when there's no applause or reward or appreciation. It's the kind of strength that most women carry every single day. And yet, nobody sees it. Nobody stops long enough to acknowledge it. Until you do. You're so strong, and you don't even brag about it. Let that sink in. You're not praising her for something loud. You're not admiring her for something exaggerated. You're recognizing something real. And that's rare. Because most people don't notice the kind of strength it takes for a woman to wake up with a heavy heart and still smile. To walk through a world that constantly tells her to be less, and still choose to love, to give, to hope. That's strength. She might be holding down a full-time job, taking care of her family, managing a household, healing from past wounds, keeping her friendships alive, dealing with anxiety, carrying emotional weight from years ago, and she's doing it without expecting anyone to notice. But you notice. And when you say that to her, that she's strong, and not because she shows it off, but because she doesn't. That moment becomes sacred. Because it's not just a compliment, it's a reflection. It's a mirror showing her what she's always been, but may have forgotten. Do you know how many women cry in the shower because they don't want to burden anyone? How many pretend to be okay just so the people around them won't feel uncomfortable? How many put others first, not because they want to be martyrs, but because they don't know how to ask for help without being seen as weak? So when a man comes into her life, whether for a conversation, a friendship, or something more, and sees that strength and speaks it, he becomes unforgettable. You become the first person who got it, who looked beyond the surface, who saw the emotional endurance behind the soft smile. That's emotional intimacy. That's the language of trust. She might look confused when you say it, not because she doesn't believe you, but because she's never heard it before, because she's so used to pushing through without recognition that hearing those words almost feels too good to be true. But deep down, she'll never forget them because they came from a place of presence, a place of truth. And that's the difference between attraction and connection. Any man can chase a woman, any man can flatter her looks, but it takes a real man to see her spirit, to admire her resilience, and to say, "You are so strong." And the fact that you don't even make it a big deal makes it even more beautiful. You're telling her that you see her for more than what she gives. You see who she is, even when she's not performing. And that level of awareness, it builds emotional safety. It makes her exhale in your presence. It makes her want to open up. Because now, she's not being loved for her strength alone, she's being loved for her humanity. So if you ever meet a woman who carries herself with quiet grace, who handles life with patience, who doesn't complain but clearly has the weight of the world on her shoulders, tell her. Tell her she's strong. Tell her you see it. Tell her you admire it. Because that might be the very thing she's been waiting to hear, even if she didn't know it. And when you speak to that strength, not to control it, not to fix it, but simply to honor it, you become someone she can finally rest with. That's what makes you unforgettable. This is the kind of compliment that doesn't just get heard, it gets felt. It lingers. It sticks in her soul long after the moment has passed. Because for once, you're not analyzing her. You're not trying to dissect or define her. You're simply responding to her presence. And in a world obsessed with perfection and logic, that kind of emotional honesty is rare and wildly attractive. There's something about your energy. I can't explain it, but it draws me in. You see, women are used to being evaluated, measured, rated, compared. From the time they hit puberty, they're taught to manage their appearance, their body, their tone, their personality, to be likable, to be pleasant, to be noticed, but not too loud, to be desirable, but not too forward. And over time, this creates a kind of emotional armor. She learns how to be chosen, but not always how to be felt. So when a man comes along and says he feels something from her, not based on her outfit or her makeup, or the way she walks, but from the energy she carries, something in her breaks wide open. Because now, you're not commenting on something she designed. You're acknowledging something she radiates. It's not about what she's doing. It's about who she's being. And here's the truth. Most women have no idea they're even doing this. They don't know they're drawing you in with their vibe. They're not trying to be magnetic. They're just existing in their truth, their softness, their wisdom, their stillness, their passion. And when you feel that, when it moves something in you, and you name it with that compliment, you become unforgettable. Because it's not a trick, it's not a line, it's real. And women know when it's real. That one sentence tells her, "I'm not trying to possess you. I'm not trying to label you. I'm just noticing you. And I feel something that I don't even fully understand, but it's pulling me in." And what that does is create space. Emotional space. Space for her to be more of herself without pressure, because now she doesn't have to perform. Now she doesn't have to ask, "Do I look okay? Am I impressing him?" No, now she can just be. And that's when a woman truly blossoms. You see, energy is the most honest part of a human being. It cannot be faked. It cannot be filtered. It's the signal that comes from your truth, and it either draws people in or pushes them away. And when a woman's energy draws you in, when you feel that alignment, that spiritual hum between two people, speak it. Even if you don't understand it, even if you can't find the right words, say it anyway, because that level of emotional awareness is what makes a woman lean in. Not because she's being seduced, but because she feels seen, not for her beauty, not for her body, but for her essence. It creates a kind of intimacy that words can't manufacture. And the best part, you didn't force it. You didn't calculate it. You just let yourself feel, and you had the courage to express it. That's what builds emotional chemistry. So don't be afraid to tell her, I don't even know what it is, but there's something about you. Your energy, it calms me. It stirs me. It moves me. Because those aren't just words, that's a mirror. And it reflects back the woman she truly is, even if she didn't realize it before. And when you do that, when you recognize a woman not just for what she shows, but for what she vibrates, you become the one she never forgets. Let me tell you something most people will never admit. We all want to be seen as enough. But deep down, we're terrified that we're not. That we're not good enough, strong enough, smart enough, stable enough, man enough. And in that quiet fear, so many men build their entire dating life around one goal: impressing women. They buy things they can't afford, say things they don't mean, become versions of themselves they don't even recognize, just to win attention, just to feel validated. But here's the plot twist: the women worth having. They don't want a man who tries to impress them. They want a man who evolves because he wants to, not to perform, not to please, but because something in her presence awakens a deeper version of him. That's why this compliment is so powerful. You make me want to be better, not to impress you, but to deserve you. When you say that, you're telling her that her essence inspires growth in you, and not growth from a place of shame or fear. Not change because you feel small or insecure, but transformation from a place of admiration, from a place of honor. And that makes a woman's heart expand. Because it tells her, I see your value, I recognize your light, and it calls something out of me that I didn't even know was asleep. You're not chasing her, you're rising toward her. You're not trying to be more for her sake, you're trying to become who you were meant to be, because her presence reminds you of your potential. That kind of compliment hits differently. It's not about flattery. It's not about seduction. It's about transcendence. She feels like she's a mirror, not one that reflects your flaws, but one that reflects your greatness. And when a woman realizes she brings that out in you, that she activates your inner man, your protector, your leader, your purpose-driven soul, she doesn't just feel admired, she feels chosen. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about pedestalizing her. It's not about worshiping her or placing your worth in her hands. It's about self-awareness. It's about being honest enough to say, something about you challenges me in the best way. Not because you demand it, but because your energy holds such truth that it calls me to rise. That level of vulnerability is magnetic, because women are exhausted by men who try to buy their way in, who fake confidence, who show off success without any real depth. But when a man says, you make me want to step into my greatness, not because you need me to, but because I want to meet you at your level, that's when trust begins. She'll see you as more than a lover. She'll see you as a partner, as someone who doesn't compete with her light, but reflects it. So if you ever meet a woman who inspires you to think deeper, move with more integrity, break your own cycles, heal your inner wounds, tell her. Let her know that you're not trying to impress her with your status. You're aligning your soul to meet her with strength and truth. That's how emotional connection is built. That's how a woman starts to fall, not for the man who pretends to be perfect, but for the man who says, I'm growing, I'm building, I'm becoming, and your presence reminds me why it matters. That's how you move from interest to intimacy, from attraction to meaning. Because in the end, she doesn't want a superhero. She wants a human, a man who has the courage to become, and the humility to tell her, you make me better, and I want to grow with you. That's what makes her stay. There's a kind of magic that happens when a man doesn't have to perform anymore, when he's no longer chasing perfection, when he doesn't feel the need to impress with fake stories, brag about his money, hide his softness, or wear a mask of confidence that barely covers his fear. That kind of freedom, the freedom to just be, is rare. And when a woman gives you that feeling, when her presence allows you to relax into your truth, that is a gift beyond words. So when you say to a woman, I feel like I can be myself around you, you are doing something incredibly powerful. You are not just giving her a compliment. You are trusting her with your vulnerability. You are saying, you're safe. You don't judge me. You don't demand a version of me. You just allow me. And that touches something in her spirit. Because here's the truth that most men overlook. Women aren't just looking to feel safe around a man. They want to be a safe space for a man too. They want to be the place where you can land, where you can laugh without filtering your humor, cry without shame, dream without fear of being ridiculed, a place where your wounds aren't used against you, but held with compassion. When you tell a woman, I feel like I can be myself with you, you are letting her see the part of you that the world doesn't get to see. Not the curated image, not the social media version, the real you. And what you're really saying is, I trust you, not with just my body or my time, but with my truth. That moment right there, that's when connection becomes sacred. Because a woman who hears those words and feels the weight behind them knows that she's not just a pretty face in your story. She's a home, a place where your soul can stretch, where your guard can drop, where your shoulders don't have to carry the weight of the world. And that makes her fall. Not because she's being flattered, not because you're giving her some smooth, rehearsed compliment, but because you're offering her something few men ever do: emotional authenticity. You're showing her the side of you that's human. Not just the provider, the protector, the strong one, but the side that gets scared, the side that gets tired, the side that just wants to be loved for who you are, not what you do. And that's a compliment she'll never forget. Because in that moment, you've flipped the script. Instead of trying to prove your worth to her, you're honoring her worth by letting her see your truth. That's emotional generosity. That's spiritual intimacy. That's what makes her want to hold you, not just physically, but emotionally. Because now she knows you're not hiding from her, you're inviting her in. So don't underestimate those words. Don't think you have to always be polished or perfect or put together. If a woman makes you feel safe enough to be goofy, to be raw, to be silent, to be real, tell her. Because in a world where everyone is pretending, where so many relationships are built on illusions, that kind of honesty is pure gold. And the woman who makes you feel that way, she deserves to know. Because while everyone else sees the outside, she's the one who gets to see the real you. And when you look her in the eye and say, around you, I feel like I can finally be myself, you're not just complimenting her, you're choosing her with your truth, with your softness, with your humanity. And in doing so, you become the kind of man women don't just fall for, they fall with. Because now you're not just building attraction, you're building home. There's a compliment that reaches beyond the moment. It echoes into a woman's future. And that's this one. Because every woman, no matter how bold, how successful, how independent, quietly longs for peace. Not the fake kind, not silence that comes from emotional avoidance, but the kind of peace that feels like deep exhale, heart unclenched, no performance, just safety. When you tell a woman, you're the kind of woman I could build peace with, you're not talking about a fling. You're not talking about chemistry that burns fast and fades faster. You're speaking to her soul's craving. You're saying, I don't just see you as someone to conquer. I see you as someone I could co-create with. And that's a whole different level of attraction. You see, most compliments are about the past. You look great. I love how you said that. You made my day better. But this one pulls her into a vision, a world where love isn't chaos, where she's not just surviving a relationship, but thriving in it, where being with a man doesn't feel like a battlefield, it feels like home. And she'll remember that. Because women are tired, tired of drama, tired of guessing games, tired of men who don't know what they want. So when you, as a man, acknowledge her potential for peace, and not just in your life, but with you, you're inviting her into something sacred, a union, a partnership. You're not telling her you want to own her. You're telling her, we could build something strong, soft, and sacred together. And she'll look at you differently after that. Because now she's not wondering if she needs to compete with your ego or match your ambition or tone down her truth to be loved. Now she knows she can bring all of herself, and you'll build with her, not break her down. That's not just attraction, that's purpose. So don't just compliment her beauty, compliment her spirit. Compliment the way her presence makes you think long term, because that's what separates a man who flirts from a man who leads. Here's what I want every man listening to take away from this. Women don't fall for words, they fall for feelings, for how you make them feel about themselves, in their quiet moments, in their unguarded seconds, in the spaces between your words. Compliments are powerful, yes, but only when they come from presence, from awareness, from seeing her not just as a body, but as a soul. When you say, you're strong, you bring me peace, I feel safe around you, you're offering her something this world rarely does: witnessing. And that witnessing, that's what creates emotional gravity. That's what keeps her thinking about you long after the message thread ends, long after the date ends, long after you're gone. So speak with intention. Compliment not just her beauty, but her spirit, her mind, her presence. Speak to her wounds, to her dreams, to her truth. And when you do that, when you go beyond surface flattery and into soul-level connection, you become unforgettable. If this message moved you, then don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with a brother who needs to hear this. Drop a comment and let me know which compliment hit home the most. And if you want more reality-based truth about dating, women, and emotional connection, hit that subscribe button. Because here, we don't teach you how to chase women. We teach you how to attract them with truth. Until next time, stay real, stay present, stay grounded.